I'm Fabio. I'm an assistant professor at University, where I'm also the head of EvoLab, and we use a lot of MATLAB in my research. So mostly my research topics, the ones I work on, cover the field of artificial intelligence. But before going forward, I want to mention that I'm not doing machine learning. So people tend to think, to associate artificial intelligence and machine learning, but it's much broader than that. I would say, to summarize, that I work mostly on human-machine interaction. So when we have robots around, so let's say robotics, mostly optimization on the design of the robotics, their motion planning, the way they move, and anything that is related to interaction with them. Particularly in the field of artificial intelligence, I'm interested in evolutionary computation because I do optimization, and that's my favorite tool. So some of the projects that I work on are related to optimizing the design of robotic devices. There is one in particular in which we're trying to find out the best size for a hand robotic device to help people that had stroke to regain their mobility. So imagine they have spasticity in their fingers. So we have this device that can help them recover the grasping movement. And thanks to evolutionary computation, we have this tool that allows us to give us the perfect robot for the job, that maximizes the torque produced by the robot, and it balances uniformly on the finger such that the finger doesn't break. On the same line, we have another project that optimizes the design for soft-growing robot, which is completely something different. So imagine a kinematics chain that can actually have different lengths. So because the robot can grow, it can shrink. So we have this innovative degree of freedom that pertains a lot of different kinematics aspects. For that, we are also working on motion planners, control, and during our research, we also came out with some innovative evolutionary algorithms for multi-objective optimization and multimodal optimization. And all of this is mostly done in MATLAB. So these are like not even all the tools that I use in MATLAB, because it was kind of hard for me to summarize all of them. I want to say that first, the main reason why I use MATLAB is plots. Plots is an amazing tool. I love the graphics. All the figures that I present in my research papers are made in MATLAB because it's easy to render them in a vector form, so we don't lose resolution. And without belittling Excel, but you can really see the difference between a paper that is done in MATLAB and a paper that is done in Excel, at least to my opinion. We use Simulink. I'm not particularly expert in Simulink. My wife is, and my students are getting expert in Simulinks, and that's for rendering the force given a specific kinematics chain for the robot. I'm using, for example, k-means for clustering during the optimization algorithms to divide different points in the search space. And this is kind of actually interesting. I'm using this function to estimate, to actually calculate the intersections between two circles, and I'm using that for obstacle avoidance for robots. So when they move in the environment, I want to check if they are colliding with obstacles, and if I know that the obstacles are modeled as circles, then I can use this function. I found it really, really useful. And then I am trying to use some parallel computation, but I still fail sometimes because I do something wrong with my array. So I would be happy if we can have a separate talk about this, so I can learn a little bit more. The benefits of using MATLAB are so many, and then I think I already mentioned that I love the graphics and the plot is so easy to visualize data, and that's mostly like the reason why I think people use MATLAB in research. One of the biggest reasons. It's easy to do animations, it's super easy to visualize data. Also to debug. The environment is really user-friendly. It's easy to copy-paste from Excel to Excel. It's easy to write file in Excel. So all the experiments that we are running, we are saving. Instead of saving like TXT files in which you have to interpret what we're writing in, we are saving everything into Excel, and it's super easy with MATLAB. We also, some of the coding that we are doing is also C++ because we are software engineers. We like pointers. And we also created our wrappers to our specific data structures to communicate with MATLAB. I know we can use Java collection, but we like pointers, so we needed our data structures to be done in C++. And then it's also very easy to perform complex matrix operations in a single line of code. This is something that would take lines and lines of code if you were to do it in C++ or Java or Python. And with all the submatrices operations that you can do, we were actually having challenges with my students on finding like the shortest way of doing a specific operation. So there's a lot of benefits that we gain from MATLAB, and I invite all the members of my lab research to work on MATLAB, to learn MATLAB, because it's really important. These are some of the results that we obtained in terms of optimization of the design. The one on the right hand side, okay, this is not done in MATLAB, this is Simulink probably, but the design itself was given by a MATLAB script with Simulink and coding directly in MATLAB. So we obtained the lengths of all these yellow links to build the robot. We gave that kinematics chain, and then Simulink elaborated the forces and the distribution of these forces. And then we were able to optimize it with evolutionary computation. On the left-hand side, we have a similar idea on soft-growing robot. So imagine that we have this robot that grows from this box, and it can extend its kinematics chain until the end of the kinematics chain. And we want this robot to reach, for example, target number 1, 2, 3, and 4 with this given specific orientation by avoiding these obstacles. So this is the same robot reaching for all these targets, and you might have noticed that the kinematics chain is sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter, and that's why that is because the robot can grow and shrink at the same time. So we elaborated all this kinematics chain into MATLAB, and it looks extremely good, as you can see from the plot. We also have a motion planner for this type of robot, which I have a video, we'll show you right away. So the robot starts from the green configuration and it wants to reach the blue one. You can see that it's also growing and shrinking. And there are some obstacles, like for example, there is this wall and there is an opening here. Now the robot is gonna bend a little bit to reach the final configuration. And then there is the third example in which the robot wants to go inside this hole. So it's shrinking and then it's growing again. And all of this was done in MATLAB again, except for the specific data structure that we're using that was done in C++, but everything else is done in MATLAB. So as future plan, well, I would really love to use parallel computation the best I can. I think I sent an email to Silvan like last year, and we had a conversation, but that we could never figure this thing out. So I also have plans with my students to create our math workspace with all our scripts. Specifically, if we can get like everything into an app, and my students are already working on that thanks to Alex's presentation last week. It was really useful. We are already working on a web app. So we will create like this toolbox for soft-growing robot optimization. Another project that we're working on that I didn't mention is the synchronization between flying drones while they're scanning an area and a mobile ground robot that is used for recharge the drone. And all the code is done in C++, but we are planning to create a very interesting animation in MATLAB to see, like to create like a simulation of the solution that we are proposing. So I reached the end of the presentation. This is my team. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will take your questions if you have any.